So my name is Maggie Evans, and I am the recipient of the Bob Harmon Service to Education Award. So I grew up in South Dakota, and when I graduated from the University of South Dakota with elementary education, I moved to Wichita, Kansas. I wanted to go to the big city, so I ended up teaching at a school called Cloud Elementary that was 98% students in free and reduced lunch, 85% of students were multilingual students. So that's really my first start in education. So this is my first teaching job when I was 22 years old in Wichita, Kansas, teaching second grade, a class that comes from a very high poverty situation. 98% of students were receiving free or reduced lunch, and over 90% were multilingual learners. That first class, I had 4 newcomer students, so 4 students that came to me without speaking any English. And so day one, I learned really quick what it was like to have a huge spectrum of students in my classroom, but fell in love with it quick. 10 years ago, I decided to move to Washington, and there was an opening in this town called Rochester that's just south of Olympia that was intriguing to me. And so it spoke to all of the different things that I loved about, strategic planning and programs that are really about students that need a little bit more of an equal playing field in order to be successful. I came here and I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with all the people that I work with, and I have been here ever since. So one of the things that we really work at in Rochester is this program called RISE, which is Rochester Integrated Supports for Education. It encompasses our early learning, all of our, our McKinney-Vento, our migrant programs, our foster care, our LAP, which is kind of the sister program to Title I. That integrated supports really focuses on the non-academic barriers that are potentially creating the academic barriers. And what RISE really does is try to bring in all the different stakeholders and all of the different players that can help support a student, or a lot of times a family, in order to set them up for success. We do have a significant population of language learners, especially multilingual learners in Spanish. Celebrating that idea of multilingualism for those families is something that I have really tried to foster, not just in RISE, but in all of the different programs and within our schools. And I think dual language is almost kind of the pinnacle of that, because it really does elevate our multilingual families and our multilingual students. We will graduate at least 25% of our students as bilingual. And that's not just for our multilingual students that are coming to us, monolingual in Spanish in kindergarten. That's for our monolingual English speakers that are coming and going to be leaving our system as bilingual in Spanish as well. I think the biggest passion is our students that are coming from low income. And I think some of that goes with the fact that I came from a history of coming from poverty, living below the poverty line, benefited from title programs, from free lunch, all of those things growing up, that I saw what that did for me, this idea of public education and really equaling the playing field that allowed me to flourish. The programs that we do, the supports that we put in place for our kids are really going to set them up to be able to get that step out of poverty, get that step into whatever they choose to do post high school. When you stop looking at it as checking boxes and you start looking at what's really going to be impactful for kids, what are our different programs and how can we work together to make them work the best for our kids and our families and our system? I think that is one of the beauties of the federal programs and the value of public education.